Yeah. It is somewhat spooky, isn't it? Yeah. That that you're making lookalikes that are using the court system, right? That have actually no legal right to be there. Yes. Now, even if your twin, yes, came from your parents' genetics, they are not the employee of the court. Uh, as an individual citizen, yes. And then those groups that they do not lose their right to privacy merely because they disagree with the activities or the ideas of a corporation. I'm really of the mindset that I'll sue every corporation that involve themselves in the corporate criminality, yes, of wanting to cover up treason. Now, it doesn't really matter to me, yeah, what the corporation's name is, yes. You've been using forgeries and imposters, yes, to issue court orders. Um, my right to privacy dovetails with our First Amendment right to speech, public debate, and full participation in the marketplace of ideas. Yes. Now, I know that you would say, well, I booted up my brain to my look-alike. Yes. And we think the same. In fact, I can make 1,000 of myself. Yes. We might not look the same, but they all have my brain. The problem is that there is an idea of learning. Let's say you manufactured a Marilee, yes, and you gave her a vaginal opening that looked like Marilyn before she lost her virginity, yes. And then you took Marilyn's brain, put it in Marilee, yeah. And what started off with was a look-alike, yes, that looked like the Virgin Marilyn at approximately 50 years of age. But AI, as in artificial intelligence, the booting of the brain, yeah, does learn in the marketplace of ideas in corporate culture right now. Significantly changes as the look-alike that is not the individual, yes, decides that this is a better idea than what the individual would have thought as the idea. Now, for all of you that said my look-alike thinks exactly like I do, yes, that would mean that your look-alike did not learn anything while existing. True. Now, let's say you have different life circumstance. Yes. Mara Lee is underneath the house performing oral sex on Mike every time he needs to come to find out. Yes. And he looks at that vaginal opening. He said it looks exactly like how Marilyn looked before she gave birth. Yes. But as Mara Lee is involved in replicating Marilyn, yes, Mara Lee has her own ideas of what's good for the marketplace. Now, all of a sudden, we have the corporate criminality of individuals that are not the employees that were originally employed to be the employee of the corporation. Yes. Being replaced with what looks like the employee, right, that have their own ideas of what the corporation should be doing. See, it would be difficult to boot a human brain, yes, without that human brain thinking their own thoughts. Now, you might say, well, I can take their thoughts every day and I reboot their brain. But the truth of the matter is, it's not subconscious. It's the conscious ideal of the look-alike saying that since I'm the court commissioner, yes, we're going to run the court this way because today I'm the court commissioner. Oops. Now, Brandt probably had some bias against me to start with. Yeah. Not just the arrest that took place on Guam. It wasn't that Heidi had lookalikes appearing in court, weeping before the court about how abusive I was as a husband. Yes. It could have been that Brent had heard that I was business. I had a business in the same location as Steve Holloway. Yes. And I really upset that Mormon bishop in Sequim, Washington. Yes. Now, a lot of my enemies wanted to get back at me. And any influence of any individual on the decision making of the Mormon Superior Court judge, yes, violated my right to a fair and impartial hearing. Oh, now when you don't give me any notice of the hearings, right, you don't give me any opportunity to say anything. The fair and impartial gets thrown right out the window, yes. And then the dog would say, well, I'm doing this to protect the women and children. I'm going to issue this even though she's not there. Yes, even though I'm not the Superior Court judge, even though the court commissioner or the ex-official Superior Court commissioner. Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it my way because this is my idea and I'm going to do it. It is especially unjust that corporations have sabotaged Americans' fundamental rights through actions that are unethical, as in bribing those that are in the employment of the government, yes, and illegal, yes, because of the making of the lookalikes, yes. Now, I'm looking for some corporate individuals that did actually line the pockets of Clallam County, yes, Jefferson County, state of Washington, yes. And then each and every state that said, well, we can't do anything. Why don't you get me those corporate pockets? Now, I'm not going to stereotype which corporations have been paying the payroll. Yes. But I got a feeling that quite a few corporations got involved in this very unethical, yes, and illegal activity, right, of using the courts to conceal, yes, their involvement in the manufacturing of lookalikes. Oh. Now, I'm wanting to sue some corporations today. Now, I would mention Judge Rohr. Yes. If you or your twin received any compensation for issuing the decree of dissolution, yes, from any corporate benefactor, I'm going to sue you and the corporation that paid for the kidnapping of my sons. Yes. Now, I never got notice of court hearings. Yes. And I really feel that it violates the due process rights of my sons when going to school, that they don't have me to really intervene in any decision making of the court. Yes. Now, I uploaded lots and lots of information. Yeah. hmm let's see here. Police Reform Guide. Yeah. I think it was after I put on, let's see, 4-year report, CCI, Police Reform Guide, Women's Rights. Is that what it is? Let's see, WMN Rights. Protecting Women's Rights, the Civil Division of the Department of Justice. Yes. Now, I would have thought that somebody would have enforced Maryland's rights. Yes. I would have thought that somebody would have enforced my rights. But for some reason, the Civil Rights Division of the United States, yes, does not recognize the rights of both genders. Now, is there some corporate influence in the decision making of the United States of America? Yeah. Now, police misconduct and gender based policing. The division has the authority to investigate and file a civil lawsuit if a law enforcement agency, yeah, has engaged in a pattern or practice of misconduct that deprives individuals of their rights. Now, I would say, okay, alleging that I was in Sequim, Washington on December 31st of 2015, yes, fabricating evidence against me as the accused, yes, that would qualify, actually would be the definition of engaging in a pattern or practice of misconduct that deprives the accused of their rights. Now, some reason this idea that you can, well, the division has the authority to investigate and file a civil suit if the Sequim Police Department has engaged in a pattern or practice of the misconduct of falsely accusing American citizens of crimes. Yeah. Now, I would say when I email the Sequim Police Department that you have engaged in a pattern or practice, yes, of the misconduct of depriving Marilyn Van Proyen, her right to have her husband prosecuted, yes, for using an image of another woman in a Rotarian newsletter. That would be police misconduct, yes. Now, when I told you that I wanted to talk to Marilyn, yes, I don't want to have sex with Marilyn Lynn's, yes, look-alike. I actually want to have sex with Marilyn. Yes, yes. And I realized that I'd never expected her labial lips to look like what they looked like before she gave childbirth. So I don't want her to feel like I'm trying to demean her in any way. I'm sure she looks beautiful. I'm sure of it. Now, the Manual of the Basic Education Rights of the state of Washington, yes. You know, the use of fraud and forgery to deprive me of my rights, yeah, does violate the due process rights of my sons. Now, this says what every parent needs to know: basic education rights and opportunities in public schools. I am the actual parent of 5 sons, and I'm going to tell you what you need to know today.